When powerful figures demand constant media attention, they often forget a fundamental truth. The internet has its own rules. This week, Stephen Miller, known for his hardline immigration policies, learned that lesson the hard way. Miller made what he thought would be a simple family announcement, but instead, it sparked a firestorm on social media. This incident raised important questions about media entitlement, political accountability, and the growing power of online discourse to challenge authority figures. This story goes beyond mere internet mockery. It highlights how MAGA figures expect respectful media coverage while attacking democratic institutions. And it reveals a new strategy: fighting disinformation with disruption. Let's break down what happened, why it matters, and what this tells us about political communication in 2026. First, some context. Miller has been vocal about feeling excluded from major news networks. His most recent grievance revolves around CBS's 60 Minutes, which refused to interview him, something he framed as censorship, but many saw as an editorial decision based on his history of spreading anti-immigrant rhetoric.
And you have these 60-minute producers who are living in comfort and security in their West End condos, trying to make us feel sympathetic for these monsters? Have you seen the tattoos, the face tattoos, the body tattoos on these killers? Would one 60 Minutes producer or writer agree to spend 30 minutes? I'll make a deal. We will pick someone at random that we sent to CCOT, just a random lottery drawing, and they will spend one day overnight in your apartment. Who has taken that deal at 60 Minutes? Nobody. Because they know that these are monsters who got exactly what they deserve.
Miller's exclusion isn't censorship, it's editorial responsibility. News outlets aren't obligated to platform individuals who repeatedly spread misinformation or engage in harmful rhetoric. The idea that MAGA figures deserve equal time, regardless of their history, is flawed. Legitimate journalism requires vetting sources, fact-checking, and refusing to amplify harmful disinformation. Miller's media struggles aren't an attack on his political beliefs. They're about maintaining journalistic integrity. But Miller's media frustrations were only the beginning. This week, he attempted to share personal news, but the internet had other plans.
A lot of those things, and you know, the lower inflation and gas prices are key to all of that. But there is polling that shows that there remains some frustration among consumers or voters. What does the White House have to do to reach those people or make changes so that those people feel better? And obviously they're getting lied to by the media, which has always been a problem for Republicans. But what can the White House do to make either fix things so that they feel better or convince them that the situation is better?
Well, I think the most important point of all, and look, the polling shows overwhelming support for President Trump across every single issue and dimension. But the most important point to hammer over and over again, under Trump 1, no inflation. Biden comes in,
right,
devastates the economy. We have double-digit inflation overall from when Biden entered to when Biden left. Prices went up 30% in 4 years. Donald Trump comes back in, and inflation is down to near benchmark rates of 2% within months? How's that even possible? I mean, we knew the man was an economic wizard. But Charlie, how do you get inflation from 30% to almost 2% in a few months? He defied what everybody...
Before we continue, if you appreciate content that cuts through the spin, hitting the like button helps spread this message. And if you want more analysis like this, subscribe to stay updated. Your support makes this work possible. Those economic claims? False. Official data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows inflation hasn't dropped from 30% to 2% in months. It's simply impossible and deliberate misinformation. Miller continues making these claims because he knows many outlets won't challenge him directly. Which brings us to the main event. On New Year's Eve, Miller and his wife Katie announced they're expecting their fourth child. Normally, this would be unremarkable personal news. But given Miller's public persona, nothing is ever that simple. Katie Miller, previously involved in Elon Musk's Doge initiative, left under circumstances that sparked speculation. The timeline of her departure, combined with Musk's well-known history of fathering multiple children, created what the internet quickly dubbed an opportunity. Within hours of the announcement, social media exploded, not with congratulations, but with questions about paternity. Reddit threads analyzed timelines. Twitter users created humorous graphics. Even the Democratic Party's official account joined in with a meme about an empty chair. Here's the thing. Miller represents a faction that demands respect and platform access, while showing no respect for democratic norms, truth, or human decency. He's helped craft policies that separated families at the border and spread conspiracy theories about immigrants. Now, he wants to control his personal narrative. The internet's response isn't just about Katie Miller's pregnancy, though the questions about her relationship with Musk make it more intriguing. It's about the refusal to play by the rules that only benefit bad faith actors. For too long, progressives believed taking the high road meant letting MAGA figures control the narrative unchallenged. But this approach has failed. As they've dismantled democratic institutions, we've quietly fact-checked. As they've spread lies, we've tried to debate policy. But that's changing. Political strategists are embracing a new strategy. Disrupt the narratives MAGA figures create. Make them defend their claims. Make them uncomfortable. This isn't about abandoning truth. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most effective response to bad faith actors isn't a footnoted rebuttal, but forcing them to answer uncomfortable questions.
This new year is that Trump and his top aides appear to think last year was awesome and want more of the same or worse. They are celebrating their work as a job well done. That is, of course, the bad news, the very bad news. The good news is that 2026 also means the people of this country have an opportunity to make their voices heard at the ballot box and send a clear message to the Trump administration. While Trump himself may not literally be on the ballot this year, although people will certainly be thinking about him at the ballot box, if Democrats can win back even one chamber of Congress and break Trump's trifecta, his total control over the branches of our government, that would not only slow down Trump's agenda, but it could be very bad news for the Trump cabinet members who have been carrying it out. That's happening later this year. My first guest today, Congressman Eric Swalwell, recently said the Democrats should be telegraphing what they could do to Trump officials if the American public votes Democrats back into power just 10 months from now, sorry. Things like defunding Trump officials, holding them in contempt, even potentially impeaching them to hold them accountable for their actions and stymie the awful and unlawful parts of the Trump agenda. Congressman Swalwell brought up that idea while specifically discussing what Democrats should do about Attorney General Pam Bondi, now that she and the Trump administration have blown through the legal deadline for turning over all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. But I want to know if Congressman Swalwell thinks Democrats should be telegraphing that same idea when it comes to the rest of the Trump's cabinet, because there's certainly a lot of them who have a lot to be held accountable for. Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California, a member of the House Judiciary Committee. He's now a candidate for governor of California. Okay, I mean, there's so much to get to. We're only 2 days into January here.
Well, Happy New Year, Jen.
Happy New Year to you, too. So let me start with what you said this weekend. I mean, this weekend you spoke about the powers that Democrats would have to hold Trump officials accountable if they retook even just a single chamber of Congress. So walk us through. I mean, what Democrats could do to hold Trump officials accountable if they retook the House. Obviously, the Senate is addition onto that, but just the House. Walk us through what they could do.
Yeah. Well, first, let me just tell you, on costs and affordability, we have the ability to reverse the tariffs. We have the ability to put the Affordable Care Act subsidies back in place. That has to be the priority. And I watched as Speaker Pelosi in her second term as Speaker, the last 2 years of Donald Trump's first term, she picked that guy's wallet every single time to claw back the damage he had done in the first 2 years. So I expect Speaker Jeffries to do the same. But on accountability, the truth is Republicans don't think we have the balls to do it. They think that we will be nice and modest and kind. And if we telegraph now, no, you're coming to the Judiciary Committee, the Oversight Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, the truth is going to come out. We're using the subpoena power. We're seeking accountability. All the dirty deals that were done by law firms, by university presidents, by entertainment companies, we are going to seek to understand all of it. We have the power to restrict funding if we need to. If we telegraph that now, we may not reverse the deals that were done in the past, but we may stop the next drug deal that the president is cooking up right now.
And he's also shown, what's so interesting about this to me is he's also shown he's not exactly going to protect all of these people, which I don't think they're all digesting. So you brought this up in the context of Pam Bondi and the Justice Department not following the law and releasing all of their files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's focus on her for a moment. I mean, what does accountability for her look like to you? And what would you hope that Democrats in the House who are in positions of power ask for or request, or what to do to hold her accountable?
Well, what I would first do is exercise the power of the purse that Congress has. And we can do this right now, by the way, Jen, right? Like almost every member of Congress, essentially 534 to 1 between the House and the Senate, voted to release the Epstein files and gave it a deadline that they have not met. We could do this right now. We could restrict the funding at the Department of Justice if they were actually doing their job and going after terrorism and money laundering and sex trafficking. You know, maybe that restricted funding would hurt them, but they're using their funding right now to go after the president's enemies. And so I would say put DOJ funding on the table and say that is something we're willing.
The upcoming 2026 elections offer a chance to challenge Trump's power, but it requires
Trump
more
himself
than
may not
policy
literally
proposals.
be on the ballot
It requires
this year, although
controlling
people will
narratives,
certainly be thinking about it on the
energizing
ballot
voters,
box.
and
Democrats
forcing
can
the
win back
opposition
even
to
one
defend
chamber
itself.
of Commerce,
Miller's
Congress,
personal
and
drama
break
highlights an
Trump's
essential
trifecta.
point.
His total
Don't let MAGA
control
dictate
over the
the
branches of our
narrative.
government.
Flip the script.
That would not only slow
Make
down
them
Trump's
defend
agenda,
themselves
but it
while
could
they
be
try
very
to push
bad
their
news for the
agenda.
Trump cabinet members
As the
who have been
political
carrying it
landscape
out.
evolves, we need
That's
to be
what's
ready to
happening
fight
later
on
this year.
every front.
My first guest tonight,
Legislative,
Congressman Eric Swalwell,
investigative,
recently
and
said that
cultural.
Democrats should be
The Internet's
telegraphing
response to Miller
what they could
is a
do to Trump
reminder
officials
that
if the
people want
American
to see
public
those
votes
in power
Democrats
held
back into
accountable.
power
As we
just
approach
9 months from now,
2026,
10 months from now,
the stakes couldn't
things
be
like
higher.
defunding
The
Trump
midterms
officials,
are our
holding
chance to
them
restore balance,
in contempt,
but
even
that
potentially
requires strategic
impeaching them
action,
to hold them accountable
both
for
in
their
policy
actions
and in controlling
stymie
the
the
narrative.
awful and unlawful
Miller
parts of
may
the
have
Trump
wanted
agenda.
a controlled,
Congressman Swalwell
positive
brought up that
announcement.
idea while specifically
Instead,
discussing what
he's learning
Democrats should
that
do about
years of
Attorney General
controversial
Pam Bondi.
actions mean he
Now
no
that
longer
she and the Trump
controls how the
administration have
public
blown through the
responds.
legal
Is
deadline
this
for turning
petty?
over all of
Maybe.
the files related
But
to
is
Jeffrey
it effective?
Epstein. But I want to know if
Absolutely.
Congressman Swalwell
Let's
thinks
stop
Democrats should be
pretending that
telegraphing
playing
that
by
same
the old
idea
rules
when
will
it comes
work
to the
against
rest
bad
of the
faith actors.
Trump's cabinet, because
It's
there's certainly a
time to
lot of
meet
them
the
who
moment
have a
with
lot
the
to be
tools
held
that actually
accountable
work.
for.